So, today I was watching the glass reflection review of Durarara, and when it was over, I kind of remembered I forgot to talk about the final part of Durarara, the season 2 part that aired back in the winter. So today, what I want to do is have an open discussion. The comment section is going to be very important for this, but I want to know what people thought of Season 2, and I want to talk about this no holds bar, all spoilers. I'm talking about this like you and I just watched this, okay? We watched it back in March, so some little details might be foggy, but Durarara as a whole is one of my favorite animes, and I love it, and if you haven't watched it at this point and you know anything about me and my videos, go watch it right now. So first up, let's talk about what I think we were all really wanting to see if they would get it right, and that's the finale. Because, I said this in my review of Season 1, the Durarara finale was not good. It, in my opinion, betrayed what the whole show was supposed to be about, and that's just kind of the lives of these people and their crazy adventures and how they kind of intermingle but don't really need to. You see, Durarara, what really interested me about it in Season 1 is how it just abandons commonplace story structure. There's no real main character to this. Okay, you could say maybe it's Mikado, you could say maybe it's Celti, maybe it's Izaya, but at its core, it's just about these weirdness and insanity, and the Season 1 finale, in my opinion, just tried way too hard to try and go back to conventional storytelling and try and bring it all together, and please, that's just not what this is about. That's not what makes it interesting. So, going into the Season 2 finale, like, even when Season 2 started, that was my first thought, and you know what? The finale to this was amazing. I thought it was great. It was so insanely over the top. I couldn't help but love it. This whole idea of the Psycha sword turns everyone into zombies, and then someone finally decides to militarize that for a nefarious goal. Because Henri and the other girl, the one girl is just insane, so she's not going to, and obviously Henri's a good guy, so she's not going to do it. But I really thought that was neat. Just like, yeah, if you can make an army of zombies, why not do it for stuff? I still don't entirely remember what the goal of that was. I think like they were trying to get control of Izaya, but not Izaya, Shizuo, but whatever. Who cares? It was still entertaining. And the reason it worked so well is that it was so broad and insane. It allowed all the other subplots going on to really stay their own thing, be self-contained, but you could see why all of this was happening at the same time. The most notable, in my opinion, was with Mikado and Masaomi. And the reason for this is because Masaomi was hardly in this season, and then when he comes back, he's just back to leading the Yellow Scarves, kind of in the same place he was at the end of Season 1, so it didn't really mean much. But Mikado, on the other hand, his arc throughout Season 2 I thought was amazing. I love the idea that he tries to take charge of the dollars. And again, there's that scene where Celti says this is a bad idea. Everyone's telling him, they're saying this little kid's just trying to manipulate you. All this stuff. But what makes the whole thing interesting is because when Mikado, whenever he explains his reasons, he's not wrong. He is trying to do the right thing, or at least as whatever the right thing is in a world that tries to be this sort of not black and white and gray about things. And what I like about the way they play it up is in the original, the Japanese language, they make him sound and seem like he's becoming a new Izaya. And I know a lot of people, that idea kind of scared them, and it scares so many characters in the show because Mikado is this show's moral center. He is at his core a good person who will do whatever it takes to help those he cares about. And, I mean, you could also make the argument about Celti's lover, but he doesn't really get enough screen time, so who cares? The thing is, what I like about it is that it explores that idea of, can you go into, if you are a black and white type person, can you go into that gray area and still come out? And here's the thing, he doesn't. He was going to kill himself and almost succeeded. He pulled the trigger and shot a bullet in his head because he knew what path he was going down. He knew what this would do to him. Again, the Japanese decision to have him play it as a new Izaya is an ingenious one. Not only does it let the actor really sort of like play the character a little bit differently, but it fits really where the direction is going. But what about the dub, you may ask? Well, in the dub, they take another interesting approach. In the dub, it's not played up that he's trying to be a new Izaya, but you get the sense of like fear and challenge and all of this darkness swelling up in him about what he's got to do, that it also makes sense when he's about to shoot himself, because all of this is coming to a collision and he knows there's no way out of it. He's seen what it has done to people, and I thought it was fascinating to watch. Really well done, and I love the way it bounced off even Izaya. I love the phone call between the two, because at a certain point you realize one is manipulating the other into just getting information, but it's both of them doing it to each other. I even love the scene where Izaya goes, oh, what was it like, something like, oh, this idiot is the best idiot ever, but you look at the way they drew the expression on his face, it's not just his typical, this is a big joke to me. No, I got this sense of happiness and almost in a way respect, like the idea that Mikado has become this intelligent and so much more than he could ever thought. Even one of the most ego-driven maniacal lunatics in anime history can't ignore what has happened and is partially his fault. So when you see that even Mikado knows this and tries to resolve it the best way he knows how, it is so interesting. Also, the stuff with Henri I thought was really neat. I assumed that we were going to go into the romantic direction with her and Mikado, but that actually takes a back seat to her developing this really sweet friendship with Erika. I never thought in 10 years I would say that something Erika did was one of my favorite parts of the show. Because again, I mean, she's funny, but she's just a side character. And not only is she a side character, she's a side character who seems like she's in her own little world most of the time anyways. So who really cares what happens to her? But I kind of really loved it. Like, it's this weird friendship they develop that, okay, is kind of based on Erika's almost desire to molest Henri. But I like the way that, especially in that scene where Izaya is trying to get under Henri's skin and get her to react, and Erika stops it, and she just stops it by talking and reassuring Henri who she is. And it was in that moment I realized Henri's arc in this season is not falling in love with Mikado or trying to control the sword. Her arc is realizing she's more than just a parasite, that she is a person who people care about and with thoughts and feelings, and she deserves to be treated that way. Because this is someone with such a horrible life story. But you just see that, and in that scene, you just really feel that Erika is more than just some goofy side note, and that's just what I love about Durarara. So much of the characters take centerfold. Or another one, Shizuo with Victoria, the blonde chick. I'm sorry, it's been a long time since this, and I'm very tired. That arc was kind of interesting, too, because you see this woman who is this soulless assassin with no emotion dealing with the guy who ultimately is ruled by his emotions as he uses it to get super strength, basically. I thought that was really neat to see. There's this weird... Was I the only one who got sexual chemistry from both of them, or a little sexual tension? I mean, look, they even say at one point Shizuo is a handsome guy in this world, and she's made out to be a very pretty girl. So I really enjoyed that scene, too. The whole relationship I thought was very interesting because you get to watch someone develop her own emotions, and you don't really see that because, well, why would you? That's a pretty crazy idea. It's not done in a way that I thought was cheesy or cliche. It made sense as she's constantly trying to understand who Shizuo is. She starts to understand a part of herself she thought she abandoned, and I thought it was cute, cheesy, everything was done well about it. Just the whole show, I think, is such a fascinatingly well-written, well-animated, interesting, intelligent show, and I just love everything about it. Izaya, I don't think did... Okay, now I'm going to get into some, not negatives, because there's really... I don't have too many complaints, but these are things I thought could have done better, and really is what keeps this away from sort of being my favorite anime of the year. Among other things, I don't quite remember what Izaya was doing during this whole thing. I sort of felt that because the Mikado stuff took centerfold and him becoming a mini Izaya didn't do a ton himself. He got stabbed. So, I did like the girl trying to get her revenge on Izaya by taking the head and just throwing it out there. That was sort of a neat idea because I never thought she would actually come back, but they thought of a really interesting way to do it, and I thought that really worked. But I thought they could have maybe done more with Izaya. He is one of my favorite characters of all time, so I thought maybe a little bit more could have been done. I wish they went into more with Simon's mob involvement. Is he still part of the mob? Is he just some sort of secret maniacal agent? Did he leave? Why does protecting this girl mean so much to him? Is it because of military connections? Is there some sort of deep emotional connection we don't know about? I would have liked some more of that. Again, I can't remember the doctor's name to save my life. He's funny, but I don't know. I never really could get into that guy. His father, too, is super annoying, and their whole organization that he works for, I'd like to know more about that, but I know we never will. The whole thing with the head for what it was being built up to, again, there's so much else going on, I don't really care. I said how Erica became really good. Walker, I thought, really did nothing, and I thought, if you're going to develop her, develop him a bit more, but I understand why you wouldn't, because then, again, you're just viewing them as a 2, where they wanted you to view her as a 1 type thing, if that makes any sense. By far, my biggest complaint is the chick with the glasses who has the cat ears fetish. First up, what a funny idea. Because we think she's going to be this big villain. First thing she does is buys cat ears and gives advice to the people she's trying to steal from. That was funny, but I never really quite understood where that was supposed to be going. She's just magically in love with Dr. Dude, and then she's just gonna take the fall, I guess. Well, she's still gonna be a world-renowned criminal, and if I'm correct, there's the one lady who is doing human experiments and all these things. Again, this is a show that is very gritty and very much explores the gray side, but I thought that could have been handled a bit more. But all in all, Durarara Season 2, I think, was an excellent, fun, entertaining ride. It's such just a lovable show with its own unique style, and everything about it is just great to me. It's one of my top animes of the year. You'll see that list in a few weeks. But yeah, no, I loved it, and I want to know what you guys think. In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on Durarara. If you heard me rant for 11 and 37 seconds about this, give yourself a pat on the back, and as always, click to like and click to subscribe so we can see if we ever get a Season 3.